George W.'s riding in the limousine. Al Gore's still kicking the voting machine. Cheney's lost count of his heart attacks. The Clintons are Yankees, not Razorbacks. Arafat's somewhere acting the fool. Jesse's splashing in the baby pool. Turns out your piece of the pie is missing the crust. Only in God and Alan Greenspan we trust. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt keep the seniors' prescriptions filled. The taxpayer don't deserve the golden rule. For God's sakes, thou shalt not pray in school. My wallet must not have heard about the surplus. Only in God and Alan Greenspan we trust. They're making Gates break up Microsoft. Rosie's got the gun toters all pissed off. There's two ways to become a millionaire. You can talk to Regis or eat rat hair. Helian's adjusting to the commie life. OJ thinks Beretta killed his wife. Strom Thurmond's been in office for Lord knows longer than dust. Only in God and Alan Greenspan we trust. Thou shalt not covet lest she's on TV. Thou shalt have no other gods before Alan and me. Make sure the economy don't inflate and keep a 6.66 interest rate. Let's combine the church and state and watch preachers cuss. Damn. Only in God and Alan Greenspan we trust. John Rocker got a raise and a brand new sob. Bob Knight already found a coaching job. Somebody body slammed the XFL. The NBA's depending on the trails pretty well. A-Rod gets $1 million a swing. Trent Dilfer's walking around with a Super Bowl ring. And that just goes to show something ain't right with us. Only in God and Alan Greenspan we trust. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal. Adultery now, that's a different deal. Honor thy stepdaddy and your mama so you don't scratch your eyes out on the Springer show. If we bear false witness in a sworn deposition, who's gonna pardon us? Only in God and Alan Greenspan. In God and Alan Greenspan. In God and Alan Greenspan we trust. Bless your heart.
Bless your heart. Tim Wilson. I should have married my father-in-law. Sounds like he's from Boston, not from the South, then. Welcome back to the American Breakfast Show. My name is Stan Major. Our toll-free number is 1-877-977-6100 as we roll back live after this long Memorial Day weekend. I hope you had a safe weekend wherever you may be. Bill Level will be with us tomorrow in this hour. And Lou Dobbs is scheduled to be with us in about 20 minutes. Lou Dobbs of CNN. And we'll hope he meets that commitment, folks. Want to talk to Mr. Dobbs about the jihad against American corporations. Well, we'll give the trivia one more shot, friends. We have about 15 minutes before we're scheduled to have Lou Dobbs on live. You get 2 out of these 4, and you will win a comedy CD. Which of these actors did not play the Saint in film or television? Did not play the Saint in film or television. George Sanders, Rutger Hauer, Roger Moore, or Val Kilmer. Who was the first stand-up comedian that Johnny Carson ever invited to come over and sit down on the couch after their first appearance? Jerry Seinfeld, Brett Butler, Dennis Miller, Ellen DeGeneres. How many weeks did Elvis Presley's hit single Love Me Tender stay on the Billboard charts? How many weeks did Elvis's hit single Love Me Tender stay on the Billboard charts? 6, 12 weeks, 19 weeks, or 28 weeks? And I needed one more, didn't I? How come I've been giving just 3? Aerosmith's Dude Looks Like a Lady was written about what glam rocker? Aerosmith's Dude Looks Like a Lady was written about what glam rocker? Prince, Mick Jagger, David Bowie, or Vince Neil? Our toll-free number is 1-877-977-6100. Dial in right away, because we've only got a limited amount of time here to try to give these the CD away. 1-877-977-6100. All of the lines are available right now. Coming up on 17 minutes after the hour of 7 on the East Coast, 7:17 on the East Coast, 6:17 in the Midwest, 5:17 in Utah and the Mountain States, 4:17 way out west. Remarks Bill Cosby made earlier this month, upbraiding certain segments of the black community on issues from their grammar to complaints about police brutality, have been attacked by some as a classist, elitist attack on the poor. Others say the entertainer revealed unpleasant truths that need to be dealt with. Speaking at a commemoration of the anniversary of Brown versus Board of Education desegregation decision, Cosby, a longtime education advocate, cited elevated school dropout rates for inner-city black students and criticized low-income blacks for not using the opportunities the civil rights movement won for them. People marched and were hit in the face with rocks to get an education, and now we got these knuckleheads walking around, Cosby said at the NAACP Legal Defense Fund observance. I can't even talk the way these people talk. Why you ain't, where you is, and I blamed the kid until I heard the mother talk, Cosby said. Then I heard the father talk. Everybody knows it's important to speak English except these knuckleheads. You can't be a doctor with that kind of crap coming out of your mouth. He also turned his attention to the population of black prison inmates, saying, these people are not political prisoners, people getting shot in the head over a piece of pound cake. We're outraged, saying the cop shouldn't have shot him. But what the hell was he doing with a pound cake in his hand? Among blacks, reaction has been a mixed bag of praise and criticism for the entertainer. I think he could have said a lot of the same things in a constructive manner instead of coming down hard on people who don't have the same podium to defend themselves, said Jem Ezreal of Cleveland Heights, Ohio, a columnist for Africana.com. But the Reverend Conrad Tillard of the Elliott Church of Roxbury, Mass. said Cosby could absolutely have gone further. What's so true about what he said is slavery and the pathology of Jim Crow have absolutely hurt us. But at the end of the day, we have got to turn the tide ourselves. Tillard said some of the concern over Cosby's remarks was that others would use them to criticize blacks instead of admitting that discrimination still exists. So, old Bill Cosby set off a furor, man. An absolute furor.
But he's right, though.
Yeah, he is.
He said in the Globe, he was talking about how parents will buy their kids $500 sneakers, but they won't spend $200 on Hooked on Phonics.
Yeah.
He's
That's
right.
true.
He's right.
Proclaim him across the land. 20 minutes after the hour. Boy, are we lonely today, huh, Tim? It's incredible. I don't think we've ever had a show where we haven't had one single phone call. It's a little embarrassing.
Well, we got Ziggy from Albany.
Ziggy on the internet. Hey, how you doing?
All right, pretty good. I was listening to your comments just now on Bill Cosby, and he's absolutely correct. And there are a lot of opportunities. The question is, do you use it or not? And I remember when I was in high school, I actually went to probably 90% black school. And it was a technical school. And they probably had a 60% dropout rate that was mostly minorities.
Can you hold on, Ziggy?
Whose fault is that? Sure.
Ziggy, can you hold on?
I sure can.
Hold on. We'll be back with Ziggy from Albany. Just got confirmation Lou Dobbs will be with us right after the bottom of the hour news. So stay tuned for that. Let's go to Ziggy in Albany again. You were saying, sir?
Yeah, I went in high school. I went to a black school, and it was probably 90% black or 85, something like that. And the dropout rate was tremendous. We were all taught the same way.
Wait. This is a technical school, and the dropout rate was high?
Very high, yeah, especially by the time we became a senior, from a class of, let's say, 30, we wound up with a class of probably 14 to 16. That's quite a bit. Anyway, the whole issue is that they could make an effort. Anybody could make an effort for an education. They just have to want to.
Well, let's talk about Cosby. You
yes.
think that he was right in what he was saying?
I think so.
You think he needed to say it a little more diplomatically, or you think he was trying to grab headlines and make a point?
Well, years ago there was a slogan that went, "Tell it like it is." I think he told it like it is.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look, if you look at black educators like Zola Foster, she's being shunned, but yet she's saying what has to be said.
I used to work with it when I was in Philadelphia. We had an all-talk station on FM, which was like your normal AM all-talk station, but it was on FM. Our AM station was a black station, and the woman who was the main personality there, I forget her name, would spend a great deal of time talking to the blacks in Philadelphia about their language and telling them to listen to her and talk like she talks, not talk like they're uneducated lot, And it was amazing to me, the reaction to her in saying that. Years later, I mean, that was 1983 and 84, and here we are in 2004, and Cosby's getting the same reaction.
But that should have been from day one, what was said. And, it's too bad that he's being shunned in many circles, and he shouldn't be, just the opposite. There are plenty of people, especially that came from Europe, that didn't know one word of English, and at least their kids were educated because their parents swept floors to give them an education.
Well, it's an interesting thing down here. We have a great number of Haitians and other blacks from Caribbean countries. They don't talk like the American black does, from New York or from the west side of Chicago, the kind of thing that Bill Cosby's complaining about.
Well, I think what it is if you really live in poverty and you come out of that, then you get to appreciate more the United States than you do if, let's say, for an example, a Haitian or somebody from South America who lived in a hut comes over here, I think they take America more seriously than learning Ebonics.
Okay, Ziggy, have a good day.
You too. Take care. Bye.
Thank you very much. Well, anyway, good luck, Bill Cosby, huh? But Ziggy's right. He's telling it like it is. All right, our email address on the show is stanmajor@aol.com. That's STANMAJOR, all one word, at AOL.com. And if you're a member of AOL, you don't even need that. If you want to jot down our, we're not going to take any calls for Lou Dobbs, but if you want to jot down our numbers so you can call it at your convenience when you hear us on the air live, the call-in number toll-free from everywhere, including Alaska and Hawaii, 1-877-977-6100. 1-877-977-6100. We're coming up on our 7:30 Eastern Time break, 6:30 Central Time break, 5:30 Mountain Time break, and way out on the West Coast it would be very early in the morning at 4:30. And if you're listening in Alaska, it would be in the middle of the night, 3:30. We'll be back with Lou Dobbs of CNN. To the American Breakfast program. My name is Stan Major. It is an honor and a pleasure to introduce to our audience across this great land and on the internet around the world, Lou Dobbs of CNN. Great to finally get you on, Lou. Good morning.
Good morning. Great to be with you, Stan.
Listen, I want to tell you that one of my Bibles on my program, since it went national back in '92, is Dr. Ravi Batra's The Myth of Free Trade. One of my favorites, boy, I'll tell you. And if he wasn't right back then when I don't know, when did he publish that thing?
I think it was it was either late '80s or early '90s.
And he knew what he was talking about.
Well, he certainly had a lot of it right.
How goes the jihad?
The jihad. You're quoting Mr. Castellani of the Business
Yes, yes.
I'm sure that was just inadvertent on his part, Stan, to refer to my opposition to the outsourcing of American jobs to chief overseas labor markets as a terrorist enterprise. I found it interesting he didn't find the more serviceable crusade appealing, but perhaps he thought others had overworked that one.
Don't you feel like Don Quixote here?
Not at all. Not at all. I think, as a matter of fact, a few people are starting to awaken to the issue in Washington. The country is awake to it. People are, the hundreds of thousands of people who have lost their jobs to outsourcing are certainly awake to it, and corporate America is starting to take, I think, showing some signs of taking the issue seriously enough to have an ethical debate. And the first sign of that, of course, was to see people trying to camouflage what they were doing in corporate America and simply suggest it was a matter of efficiency and productivity and competitiveness that was leading them to send jobs overseas, when what they meant all along, Stan, was labor's cheaper.
There you go. That's what it's all about. Pat Buchanan was on with me a couple of weeks ago, and I said, how does Lou Dobbs get away with all of this working for Time Warner? And he chuckled. He said, he must have a real great contract.
Well, Stan, I think you have to give CNN great credit because they have been absolutely supportive Dick Parsons, the CEO of Time Warner, has been supportive. And I don't think a journalist, anyone in television news, could ask for better, because this is a controversy, as you rightly point out. It's controversial. The establishment is, when not cringing, lashing out, as you just quoted Castellani at the Business Roundtable.
And the great thing about it is that, in all honesty, in the earlier days of CNN and the days of Ted Turner, there might have been an effort to silence something like this.
The truth of the matter is I have worked for CNN with one 22-month interregnum, and I have never had anyone attempt to interfere with the story that I've been covering. I've always been managing editor of the broadcast, and I think that's a remarkable record.
Well, I think it all changed after Live in Baghdad. I think when Peter Arnett and Bernie Shaw were over there, and CNN was the only organization still in Baghdad during the first Bush war, and they earned their reputation almost overnight by virtue of their reporting there. That not only did other people in what I call the Seven Sisters of the media, and you can guess who those are.
Right.
Not only did those people suddenly begin to respect CNN, but they also backed off and stopped criticizing everything that they were doing. And I think within CNN itself, there became a lot of self-respect after that. And,
well, organizations, corporations, and networks are not unlike human beings in the respect that we all grow and develop and mature. And while we were a bunch of wild-eyed renegades when we began CNN in 1980, time, maturity, just the weight of the responsibility, I'm sure, caught up with us.
Now, what I notice in a Google search that you have a vast web page with regard to information about jobs lost overseas.
Absolutely.
What is that? Give the URL for that. What's that site?
That's CNN.com/Lou, and that'll take you to the Lou Dobbs Tonight homepage, where we have a list of 800 companies now that we've confirmed to be outsourcing American jobs overseas. And this has been the enterprise of our staff, a terrific staff on the broadcast who, it's time-consuming, but we put together a list that not even the federal government has. And it really, unfortunately, paints a stark picture for the breadth of this problem.
It's an incredible undertaking.
Well, we had to do it because no one else was doing it.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Well,
and in this society, when there's not information available about an issue, there's a reason it's not available, and we decided to take it on.
Lou, I got so frustrated since 1992 giving out the lopsided trade statistics.
Right.
I finally gave up because nobody in Washington seemed to care. None of my listeners seemed to care, and nothing was happening. I can't understand why 3/4 of the things that we buy in a store are made in China, and we don't have some collapsing economy problem. And I'd like to get your input on is this thing going to come up and bite us?
If we continue on this path, Stan, absolutely. There's no question about it. We're now the largest debtor nation in the world. We're not only a superpower, but we're a super consumer. And we continue to buy foreign goods at a rate that is just astonishing. A $500 billion trade deficit, almost a $500 billion current account deficit, $3 trillion in trade debt directly. That doesn't even mention the national public debt or the federal budget deficits. It's extraordinary. And we have to import capital to continue our buying habits. We look at oil as our great dependency, but that's only $100 billion of that $500 billion. Our dependency on OPEC is more than matched by our dependency on China, Japan, and Europe for their products and their services.
All right, Lou, hold on. We got a short break here, and I want to come back and talk more about this. Lou Dobbs of CNN, you know who he is. He's doing the good battle for everybody in America. We'll be back with him. Stan Major back with Lou Dobbs on the American Breakfast Program. What was Tom Clancy's problem the other day? Was he coming after you, or what was that?
I think he was trying to defend the Bush administration as best he could, and took sort of an unusual direction. I'm not quite sure what he was trying to do.
I couldn't figure it out either.
It was kind of funny because General Zinni was sitting there sort of chuckling as Clancy was, Clancy's a smart fellow, but he was having a little trouble dealing with his own demons on this, having supported the Bush administration so rigorously and now finding so many flaws with it.
Yeah, I know. I'm having the same problem.
Well,
I was part of Hillary's right-wing conspiracy when I was over at Radio America with Ollie North and all those people. And now I'm more of a populist, independent guy. I certainly don't want Kerry elected president, but God, I hate Iraq. I don't even know why we're there. I support the military there, as I'm sure you do, each and every individual member of the U.S. military. But good heavens, we're off the beaten path here.
Stan, the fact that we are spending more time right now investigating Abu Ghraib prison and the abuses that took place, as horrific as they are, and as much as we need to mete out appropriate punishment to those not only soldiers but commanders, officers responsible. We need to have Congress spending that time investigating what in the hell is the U.S. foreign policy all about. What direction are we going to take this country in? We're in the midst of a presidential election, and the national debate about our future hasn't even begun. And that, to me, is the most troubling aspect of what is happening surrounding Iraq right now, because it's clear the Bush administration is moving toward some sort of extrication, if not exit. But in the meantime, we have young men and women in uniform there in harm's way without clear purpose, clear reason and vision for the future.
All right, let's move back to the original discussion here, because Roger Simmermacher has also been a regular on my show. And he and I have, we go at it from time to time, because I contend that I'd rather have Volvo making cars in Tennessee than making them all in Sweden, And he says, oh, no, we don't want to do that because, and I say, Roger, we're giving people jobs. And he and I have an ongoing debate about that. How do you feel about other companies coming in here and setting up shop?
I have no problem whatsoever with a company building a plant and hiring Americans here if we are also building plants in their country and securing balanced trade. People forget that the purpose of international trade is to achieve balance, not deficit. And as you alluded to earlier, Stan, this country has not run a trade surplus for 28 years. We have been in trade deficit for nearly 3 decades because we continue to think of this economy as everlasting strength, wealth that will never be diminished, and a resilience that can overcome the most boneheaded policies imaginable on the part of our politicians, both Democrats and Republicans, by the way.
Yeah.
People forget it was Clinton who signed WTO, who signed NAFTA, the permanent normalized trade status for China, with whom we have a $130 billion a year trade deficit. It's not only the Bush administration pursuing these bizarrely considered trade policies that they call free trade, but it's Democrats and both Republicans pursuing it because, frankly, they're bought and paid for by corporate America, and it's that simple. People don't want to admit it, but that's the truth. Corporatism has overtaken this country in every respect.
Well, that's because politicians have to have so much money to get reelected.
Yep.
And a lot of that is buying ads on CNN, I'm sorry to say.
Well, Stan, they buy a couple on your show, too, don't they?
I hope so. But I'll tell you, I have this incredible idea that absolutely floored somebody from either Cato or Heritage. I'm not sure which one the other day. I said, why don't we do this? Why don't we pass a law that effective January 1st of 2007, If you want to sell it in this country, you make it in this country. Now, that's a radical thing. And there was this long pause on the other end, and the only thing the guy could say, this is an expert from a think tank, folks. The only thing the guy could say in response is, well, you'd have to shut down the internet. I said, what?
That's sort of an intriguing answer. My answer, Stan, would be somewhat different.
Okay, hold it. We'll be right back with Lou Dobbs' answer to Stan Major's radical approach to the trade problem. The American Breakfast Show, back with Lou Dobbs. Okay, my radical idea, January 1st, 2007, if you want to sell it in this country, you got to make it. What do you think?
I think that, like everything else, Stan, there's a good idea in that within certain proportions. I think it's working in terms of automobiles in this country. I don't think it'll work in terms of computers. There are a host of other issues. But I think the real beginning to a solution is for us all to start thinking about this country not as a marketplace or an economy, but as a nation, and start thinking about what is in our national interest, what is in the interest of working men and women, our middle class, and to create policies, trade policies, commerce policies, and national security policies, foreign policy, that is in line with our national interest. I have no problem trading goods and services with the entire world, and I think we should. But that we should do so with a sense of balance and insist upon balance and removing debt from our international trade policies. We are just swamped in it. We've got to change our consumer buying habits. We've got to find a corporate America with a conscience and legislators and a president who will focus on those issues. First a nation, then a marketplace.
Aren't the corporations who have outsourced to India and other places, aren't they finding that there are problems with that? I mean, I call my local cable company, and I'm connected with some dude in India that can't speak English. I can't get through, and I have to request that I talk to somebody else.
Well, you were mentioning the Seven Sisters. One of the reasons that you were subjected to talking with someone you cannot understand is because that person will work for a fraction of what an American worker will.
Right.
The other reason is you have no choice. Your cable company is your cable company. Your computer that you're buying, whether, whatever the company, is doing this after the sale. You're stuck with that computer, that piece of equipment, and you're just going to have to make do. You can't blame the Indians or the Chinese. You've got to look squarely at the consumer who is making no demands on those people supplying us with products and services and allowing it to continue. What we have heard, Sam, from our audience, tens of thousands of people writing and saying to us, they have simply just quit doing business with companies that are outsourcing jobs. And they've had it. And at some point, that's where we're going to be. But not until the consumer changes his or her buying patterns and insists on a level of service will it change.
Are you going to win any Peabody Awards for what you're doing now? You've won every award in television journalism.
Well,
anybody going to give you an award for this?
Well, Stan, you and I don't do what we do. One of the great things about this country, I came from a working class family. I've been very fortunate. I believe strongly in this system of government. Our society has been good to me. And what I want is for everyone to have the American dream. I guess the easy way is they made a mistake. They gave me enough money over all these years and experience that, I can take a few risks to support that which I believe in. And I believe in this strongly.
Well, you're doing one hell of a job, Lou, and I want you to keep it up. And I know you've got the support of a lot of my listeners, okay?
Well, that's gratifying, and I really appreciate Stan. You keep giving them hell too.
All right, and any idea how I can get a hold of my old friend Bernie Shaw?
As a matter of fact, I will give you a call and give you his number.
All right, fine. Or give it to, if you want to hold on for a second and just give it off the air to Tim, my producer, I would appreciate it. I'd love to get Bernie up. Bernie and I were with an all-news station in Chicago for a couple of years, and I'd like to get him on just like I get you on. Okay?
Well, Bernie's a great guy. And,
he's terrific.
I'm sure he'd love to hear from him.
Thank you, Lou. Hold on a second. Thank you very much.
Well, that's Sam.
Have a fabulous day, everybody.